As you may know, this month's goal is to ask a variety of questions. So to demonstrate, Ms. Nadia and Mr. Jahan wrote some questions about curiosity and asked different teachers about their opinions. The first question is, what does curiosity mean to you?
What does curiosity mean to me? Curiosity to me means all the questions that you have about life, yourself, other people, and going out and trying to find those answers, being a seeker, someone who is just curious. Some people have it within their nature to go and seek. Some people are a little bit more recluse and conservative. Doesn't mean that they're not curious, but it's just we're just all different people. And that's being curious is one of the greatest things in the world. That's why people sailed around the oceans and discovered new lands and areas and stuff like that. They're always seeking and searching for different things.
Curiosity means being interested in the world around you.
It means that you are eager to learn something, to find out about things that you are curious about, right?
Well, to me, curiosity is about a desire to find out new information and how it applies to me and my life and my world. Whether it's something minor, what's going to happen on my favourite TV show this week, or whether it's something huge about finding out about a new culture or about a new way of life. Curiosity is the thing that drives me.
To me, curiosity means taking an active interest in what you're learning about, asking questions when you're not sure about something that's going on, and kind of pushing the limits of what you know towards what you believe with that, I guess.
Curiosity means to me, I think it's probably one of the most important things we can have when not only when we're growing up, right through life. And I think it helps us to, I don't think it's something we're born with, I think it's something we generally develop as we grow. And it helps, that's why it's important to me. I think it helps you to develop as a person. And it's something that I feel opens doors for people. It helps you to live outside of a little box that a lot of people without it will live in. And they're quite comfortable doing that, but they don't really question it. They don't want to see outside of it. And I think for me, that's one of the most important things about my life, is that I have pushed past that box, past those boundaries, which hasn't always been a good thing, but I think it's really opened up a world that I would have missed out on otherwise. And it's helped me to grow as a person.
What would your life be like if you weren't not curious?
Wow. Wow. My life, if I wasn't curious, I know exactly where I'd be and how my life would turn out. I would live in Calistoga, California. I would have a house. I would be married. I would have 2 kids. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's a very small town and people stay together and they talk about other people and what they did and things that to me aren't important. Not to say family's not important, but just living in a small town. It's difficult to talk about because even now when I'm talking about it, physically I can feel like I have 2 hands around my neck. It's just a lifestyle that I don't want. My parents live there, they're great people, but I would not want that life. It's if I wasn't curious, my life, it seems like, would be planned out. And so to me, that's boring, that's routine, I'm in a rut, and it just, again, I can't be denied who I am and what I am inside of me. I have too big a curiosity, and again, I'm a seeker. I want to find it. Oh gosh, you're making me feel this. So
my life would be quite different than it is now if I were not curious about things. And it's got me into some situations, it's got me into some difficult situations, it's got me into some wonderful situations, but I'm glad I did it, and I guess curiosity was a big part of that.
What would life be if I'm not curious? It'll be so boring, really, really boring. And if I'm not curious about things, like it's boring, and I'll be very unhappy and boring.
If I wasn't a curious person, I've always been a very curious person. My parents and my teachers all the time, probably one of the most common phrases I heard as a child was, "Curiosity killed the cat." I haven't been killed yet, but I'm sure my curiosity does get me into trouble. I think if I wasn't curious, I don't think I'd be interested in science. I think that's what got me interested in that. I was always the really annoying child at school and at home. That was always why. So even when I got an answer that my parents or teacher was happy with giving me, I wasn't happy with it. I wanted to know more. And I probably did drive them mad. And then I would be the child that would go home and then not stop or didn't want to sleep until I knew exactly why. And I think that's made me, it developed my critical thinking, and that I think has led me into science, where I did always prefer art and English before that. And curiosity has just pushed me towards wanting to know exactly why things work, exactly why things that I'm looking at work. And it's been quite nice, I think. It opens doors for you doing other things and travelling, but it also opens up a world to you. So I think especially as a scientist, you see things not just for what they are flat, but you can look right down inside and see how the cogs are turning, how things are working. And that's quite nice actually, to be able to know that. I don't think I'd be here in Cambodia if I wasn't curious. I would have been quite happy living at home like a lot of my friends have done. But I just wanted to get outside of that and see what else was there for me, because you get one chance to go and do it, and curious people go off and do that.
Well, without curiosity, I suppose I would never get out of bed in the first place. I've done a lot of travelling, I've done a lot of reading, I love films, and I love to go and meet people, all kinds of different people. And I wouldn't have done any of that if I wasn't curious about these things. I would be bored.
If I weren't curious, I think my life would probably be just like every other boring person's life back in America. Sitting at a desk all day, pushing papers around, working 9 to 5, and taking the train home. I think being curious to come to a place like Cambodia it's changed my life in so many ways for the better. The people I've met, the students that I've had in class, and the people who become my family.
When was the last time you were curious?
I'm curious all the time. Today I was curious what I can do to become a better teacher. I'm very curious about that. Always, what are the aspects, the little tricks of the trade that I can add to a class to get more excitement out of the students. What I can do as a coach. How can I get through to one person that for some reason I haven't been able to get through? Or how can I get more work out of somebody else and make them push themselves? I'm always curious just about little nuances of being better. I use the analogy tools. Being a good teacher, I think people have a lot of tools in their belt, if you will, and so the more tools you have, the better teacher you are, the better person you can become, and so those are the things that I'm curious about, or the last time I was curious.
The last time I was curious is, well, I'm curious all the time. I mean, being here, this is a fascinating place to me in many, many ways. The culture, the language, the people, and they're a constant source of interest and curiosity, if you like.
Probably almost every time I'm always curious, like, where are my kids? What are they doing right now? And what did my maid cook? And this food is so good, you know.
The last thing I've really been curious about is the solar system. I've taken some online classes about it, and I read the newspapers and try to find out as much as possible about what's going on out there, because I think it's absolutely fascinating, and I don't know anything about it, really.
Well, the last time that I was really curious about something was, not surprisingly, when I first moved to the city. I've been travelling for quite a long time, sometimes just backpacking, sometimes living and working in different places as a teacher, and I wanted to see the similarities and the differences between everything I'd seen before and this place, my new home. That was to do with the actual city itself, just what it's like, the people here, the culture, the experience of being a teacher here, what the beer's like. All the kind of things that make up this place. I was very curious to know what it would be like to be here.
The last time I was curious was actually this morning, and when I was in between teaching, I worked in conservation, and my specialty is butterflies. And I seen a butterfly this morning it was just outside my house actually, and I had no idea what it was.
And what are you curious about now?
So I'm still actually, this will answer my next question, I'm still sitting now thinking what it is, and when I get a chance I'll be having a look through my notes from when I was at uni to have a look to see if I can find it.
I'm curious about everything. I'm curious about travel. I just came back from Scenicville, and so I'm curious about where am I going to go for New Year's, my New Year. I'm curious. I have a friend who has a bachelor party in early May. I'm curious about how that's going to be. And just going to different places that I haven't been, meeting new people, and just I think when you're open to new things, there's the saying that the only constant in life is change. So if you're okay with change, then you're kind of an open book and you can kind of go with the flow and just be curious. And life is curious, and life is great. Life is awesome. Be curious. I'm out.
Right now I'm curious about the culture, the language, and the people.
And right now, I'm curious about what you're thinking. What are you thinking right now? Are you curious? I'm curious.
Right now, my biggest curiosity is why students cannot figure out the right verb to go with their subjects when they're writing papers.
The thing that I'm curious about at the moment is what it's going to be like when I go home in the summer. I'm going to be going back for the first time in a few years. I'll be seeing my family members. Some of them have done a lot since I last saw them. I'll be meeting my 2 step-nephews for the first time ever, so that's something I'm very curious about. I'm curious to see how my brother's new job is going and how London has changed since I was last there a few years ago.
Last thought on curiosity. The thing is, with curiosity, you start off looking for answers, searching for something, whether it be questions about yourself, about other people, cultures, religion, whatever it may be. And you might find those answers, but with curiosity, it leads you to other questions. And that's what's so great about it. There's a saying by Thomas Wolfe that you can never go home again. And what he means by that is, when you go home, things there seem the same. But after your adventure or soul searching or whatever it may be, you are the person that is different. Once you know something, if you know this much, this is all you know. But once you have traveled, experienced things, and through curiosity, it expands your world. Say to this much. But once you know this much, you can never go back. You cannot get back into this cylinder or whatever you want it to be. You have already learned. There's a saying that curiosity killed the cat. Okay, well, once I always ask myself the question, would I have wanted to learn that, or who have not wanted to know it at all? And the answer is 100% a definitive yes, I would have wanted to know, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. The thing is, curiosity might have killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Go Thunder, baby! Yeah!